Coming up in today's latest Gran Turismo 7 video, we're going to talk about the latest upcoming track rumour, why it's not real whatsoever, and of course dive into the world of fantasy track concept art. However, before we get into this video, I'm trying to get this channel to 60,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you want to stay up to date with everything Gran Turismo and motorsport gaming related, then feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and of course turn those notifications on. Anyway, let's get to it. So let's roll things back to a couple of days ago. I've just woken up, I'm taking my first sip of coffee in the morning, and all of a sudden my phone pings. It's a notification from PlayStation Network. I take a look and it's a message from someone on my friends list who states the following. It seems that Imola is coming to Gran Turismo 7, and this kind of piqued my interest. So it was time to put my research goggles on and go and do some browsing to see if I could find any hints of Imola coming to Gran Turismo 7. I checked the typical news outlets to see if there was anything mentioned on there, went over to Reddit to see if anything was mentioned over there, and it turned up absolutely no results. The only thing I found was a few mentions in people's track wish list, and honestly that was about it. So at this point I'm a little bit lost. I'm not exactly sure where this information is coming from, and then I remembered I completely forgot to reply to the message, making myself look like the most arrogant dick there could ever be. So I eventually respond back to the message just asking what the source was and where the information came from, and unfortunately the response I got back didn't really help situations. All I got back was that it came from a WhatsApp message featuring a screenshot of Imola and Gran Turismo 7. Now it certainly narrowed down the type of media I'm looking for, but unfortunately without a direct source and just the thought of this being passed from person to person, it'll probably be much more difficult to actually track down. So now at this point I'm thinking, where does Gran Turismo 7 leaked media typically end up? And it'll be usually one of two places. The first and main one is Reddit, but I'd already been on there and I'd seen no trace of Gran Turismo 7 and Imola. And the second, well, it's typically X, or what was known as Twitter, where a lot of the stuff will end up being reposted and people will save it from there, and then they'll pop it in sort of WhatsApp chats and, you know, kind of share it around friend circles. So I head over to X and I start looking around to see if anything's been reposted or if there's any images up or even any mention of Imola and GT7, and there's absolutely nothing. I scrolled through constantly, saw a bunch of kind of funny images from Gran Turismo related stuff, mainly from over in Japan, but there was absolutely nothing in terms of leaked information regarding Gran Turismo 7 and Imola actually coming to the game. So at this point I'm feeling like it's just a complete hoax. I've not seen any image sent to me, and I've not seen anything while going through the likes of Reddit, X, or of course any of the typical Gran Turismo 7 related websites when it comes to any information that might be actually put out there. So fast forward to the next day and I'm just getting on about my day as normal. I decide to head over to X and I just start scrolling like anybody typically would, and I honestly couldn't believe my eyes when I stumbled across this. Now, as we can see, I was greeted by the sight of a bright green Alfa Romeo Giulia GT Am, which is a car that features in Gran Turismo 7, and as you can see, it seems to be in the final few corners at Imola. And well, in terms of the overlay of the image, it very much lines up with Gran Turismo 7. As we can see in the top left, we do have the typical position and lap counter, again absolutely spot on. We also have the player leaderboard. It seems like they're in a time trial here in first position and do have the fastest lap. We can also see that it does have your current lap time counter in the center. Top right, we do have the track map of Imola, very much in the style of Gran Turismo 7, with also the wind speed and direction. We can also see on the right hand side as well the lap counter. So as we can see, lap 1 was the out lap 2 was the fastest lap, and lap 3 is the current uncompleted lap according to the image. Then at the bottom we do have the likes of the track map and the multifunctional display. We also have the turbocharger boost, we have all of the assists, we also have things like the actual rain counter, so if it was actually wet and what conditions it's in, whether they're intermediates or wets. We have the fuel counter, mileage, pretty much everything here adds up to being Gran Turismo 7. Now this wasn't the only image that was available. There was also one on the main start finish straight, what seems to be the beginning of that third lap there, and we also see the board in the background which clearly states it's at Imola. We also got another image which seems to be this section here where it goes right left incredibly tight, once again pretty much confirming Imola, and seems to be recorded in the exact same run on that third lap. However, there is one key bit of information which doesn't quite make sense from that image, and I'll talk about it in a minute, but first let me talk about the account that made me aware of this and that had actually reposted this. Out of Context Gran Turismo, one of the funniest Gran Turismo related pages out there, who will poke fun at pretty much everything Gran Turismo related, as well as actually kind of highlighting some of the key issues with the game. And it was these guys that have of course reposted it, which, well, if you know their track record, they do tend to repost things and people will either take it as gospel or get incredibly mad at them for doing it and claiming it's misinformation, when in reality the page itself literally says Out of Context Gran Turismo. Now, accompanying the reposted images was actually a source, and this comes from Stefan Clift Designs, which the name actually matches up with the images that we were seeing. So this was 100% the guy. Now, as we can tell from his bio, he's an aspiring livery designer with a deep love for motorsport and brand design relating to automotive competition. And honestly, his concept design work is absolutely awesome. So once again, I'll leave his X down in the description below. Go over there, give him a follow and give him a bunch of love. And let's see if we can help him towards those goals. But now we finally had a proper original source, and as we can see, the post went on to say, what if at the Gran Turismo introduced Imola, and we finally have the original images of the bright green Alfa Romeo Giulia GT Am over at Imola, complete with the Gran Turismo 7 HUD and overlay. And he also had this posted as well, which I thought was incredibly impressive. What if Polyphony Digital added the Honda Civic Type R GT 2024? Of course, this would fit into Group 2, and it's the current Super GT model for Honda. Again, I thought this was incredibly impressive. So there is a massive giveaway here that these images weren't actually Gran Turismo 7, and I'll just quickly show you. The one single giveaway on closer inspection is the tyre compounds. As we can see, the first image of the Alfa Romeo, it's running on HR compounded tyre, which I believe stands for hard road tyres. And if we look at the Honda Civic, that is running on just purely M tyres or medium tyres. And I believe both of these compounds are from Assetto Corsa. So it seems to be that both of these images is Assetto Corsa running on mods. Now, when it comes to Assetto Corsa on PC, when it comes to the mods, you can practically transform the entire game to look like Gran Turismo, and it's absolutely awesome to see. And when it comes to concept work, this is something that we saw Random Car Guy do a lot. I don't know if he's done it for a while, but he used to post up images of modded cars in AC and then go ahead and transform those images into what looked like Gran Turismo 7 update teasers, and they were absolutely awesome. And if you remember back to around about the start to middle of last year, he posted up an image of what if Silverstone was added to Gran Turismo 7, and he made it look incredibly legit using Assetto Corsa with mods. And well, this seems to be the exact same case here when it comes to Gran Turismo 7 and Imola. So when it comes to the messages that I've received about this, all it seems to be is that people have been sent the images without the actual context or source added, and then assume that yes, this is coming to Gran Turismo 7 and this is some type of leak, when in reality, if you do a bit of a closer inspection, you'll probably notice that it isn't quite right when it comes to a complete Gran Turismo overlay. Although it is incredibly close, it's just a bit of a passion project, a what if scenario, and I think they're absolutely awesome. So no, the images aren't legitimately Gran Turismo 7, and from what I know, Imola isn't arriving to GT7 anytime soon, or if at all. They are purely just concept images, but incredibly well done ones at that. And again, a huge shout out to everybody who has been featured in this video. Anyway, that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care guys, peace.